It's funny how I consider how you and I have mutually entered the graces of Soulward Bound together, Diana van Giersbergen's solo project, aptly under the DIANNE banner, right? And on both occasions, I say both, even though technically this is our third time humoring a number, and it is the third single of the as promised 10-track lineup as it builds out its run. I filmed my considerations and first experiences, which I remember so fondly, to After the Storm and Unleash the Siren on the very same night, where this is a couple months out since, and in fact, I believe as I'm filming this, it is a month past the debut of the video for Symphonic Tragedy, which I meant to be way sooner than this. I'll explain why I'm so late. It's actually quite a funny story, and again, this whole experience, it seems, is full of quirks. Anyway, for me, as I was saying though, on both occasions of how I approached Soulward Bound, as it again develops, I'm deviating from my original presumptions of how I thought we'd entertain it. Because, as I've been saying, this is in the midst of a larger journey that you and I are taking together that I've been planning for months now, and haven't regretted at all finally getting to it, that we would examine the works of Diana van Giersbergen and her beautiful vocal capabilities as a very noteworthy soprano singer, in my opinion, not only of the European symphonic metal origin, but really in the world from what I've heard. And I've cataloged a couple of my operatic favorites here that have interwoven themselves into the metal world, but Diana truly stands out, right? And as such, because she is such a reverential performer in my opinion, we are taking a deep dive of her many creative works. And again, originally this was organized in phases, as I'm telling you, this was the original order. We were going to start with Zandria, which we've almost finished, nearly. That was such a great ride. And then we were going to go into the works, part of her project with Ex Libris, and then we were going to go into the solo singles and some of her collaborative work. And there's been different reasons for why that plan has been a bit fluid. My next step was, as planned, Ex Libris. And I don't mean to continue pushing out her work there, because Ex Libris I'm looking to from the little I know fondly. But there's an itch that these Diana songs have been scratching that I can't resist. And this was true again with the first two singles, of which I will confess to you, especially the latest one, Unleash the Siren, I've been addicted to. Ever since I first listened to them, I cannot give them up. They are some of the best pieces within the symphonic metal field today, in my opinion. That's not just to the respect of Diana's exquisite and undeniable vocal capabilities. She really stands out as a singer, again, in whatever chapter that we look at together. And this is quite an honorable ride for me to be taking, and possibly fostering for you. If you happen to be approaching from initiate eyes of experience with Diana and you're walking in on introductory grounds, get ready to meet somebody special. Or you're a longtime fan that advances me. Again, however you approach, I want you to feel welcome, as I do believe music is best enjoyed in company, whoever you happen to be in, from whatever angle you come into, with the groups that we humor, whether they're longtime favorites or like me, we're engaging with on a first-time listen. We have a good mix here. And Diana, despite the little I know based on the teasers, which I couldn't resist seeing when they were putting it on social media, we can only resist temptation for so long, but the general number I've not welcomed yet. We are about to together, and I've been waiting for this, especially since it was my intention, as I said, to humor this way earlier than I am. But again, this is the irony. And for anybody who approaches a Symphonic Tragedy, not a beautiful name, by the way, not knowing the inspiration to this number as stated, revealed by Diana, I love, again, this, I've said before with metal, this is what partly enamored me so early on into this genre, was the authenticity. And this story is nothing but. In fact, I believe, I'm going to try to phrase this right, a Symphonic Tragedy is based on a very personal story to Diana, in which she, I believe, was undergoing a surgical operation with, I think she said her stomach, that the risk was that her dearest friend, and I'm sure inspiration in life, her voice, would be lost. And by whatever reason, perhaps the sure hand of a doctor, or maybe God's divine hand guiding the operation, you never know the possibilities, her voice was saved, right? So this is a tale of a miracle in a way. And certainly for all of us, in that we did not lose our opportunity to get to know such a beautiful person through her music. Her voice alone is just transfixing, but the personality as well of what comes through Diana's stories, whether it be After the Storm, Unleash the Siren, and from what I've seen of the lyrics and understanding the story of Symphonic Tragedy, there's such an evident heart to these songs that speaks of Diana's character so reverently. I feel quite honored to be engaging with it, and to be putting you in a position where you get to engage it with me, maybe as a first-time listener. Now, as I was saying, the irony, right? This is a song about Diana being able to keep her voice, where on the day this debuted, I nearly lost mine. And I was all prepared that week, to engage with it, because I'm like, I don't know if I can hold out for a month or however long it's going to take for me to get around to this number. I mean, there was a challenge with the first two singles, right? I was able to hold off, and miraculously, I've spared myself for about a month from engaging with this, so again, we can walk in on a fresh lens. But the day this debuted, I'd already planned that week, I'd written it on my schedule, I'm like, I'm going to get to this immediately, because I can't hold out any longer. And then my brother had to come home from a church winter camp, and someone was sick. And I debated, can I do this? But I didn't want to strain my voice because it was almost every word I was saying, I'd be able to talk for a bit, and I instantly, I didn't feel anything other than my voice would go into that annoying, benign cough of, oh, I'm doing great. And it was like a bronchitis-esque. It was just this light flutter. So yes, again, the humor in that whole episode, even though it was quite irritating. Like, DIANNE finds her voice, I lose mine. What? Anyway. Life is a funny way about it, doesn't it? Let's finally engage with it. I've waited long enough. And knowing, again, that this is going to be in the waiting way for some time, you're going to be seeing this way later than when I'm recognizing it. But I've been waiting to showcase it for some time and to finally be able to listen to it myself. Again, post us listening to it together. And I'm really excited to hear this one, which is going to go apparently a more power ballad direction. It's a bit of a differentiation and split from some of the past numbers we've welcomed. And it's a good catalog of artists, by the way, that are supporting her, whether it be from, I might be forgetting a couple names, but Arion and DIANNE, some favorites I know many of you have been recommending, which we'll get to imminently. I already have DIANNE on the schedule for some later point. I'm looking forward to that one. Some fresh introductions here, but a favorite one of mine that I'm already familiarized to of DIANNE. Her heart, her soul, and her talent, evidently demonstrated for beautiful scoring, craftsmanship, some of the best numbers I've heard in the symphonic metal field. One of the best projects I've heard on part of Soulward Bound, and it's a privilege to get to know DIANNE through her work. Let's expand our perspectives together, and maybe start yours if you're just walking into a fresh lens. I think you're going to like this. We definitely begin on a more not yet power, but ballad route. Which I appreciate, by the way. She sounds amazing. Every note, inflection, breath, vibration, it's just, oh man. Realized well visually too, the color palette is so engaging. Wow. Every step of this song and the emotions in that chorus perfectly harmonized by the musical backing. Here's our power kick. Nice callback to the original Soulward Bound debut with the line. As subtle as it is. Even in the build, that heart is so clear. beautiful. What an empowering anthem. If you've never met DIANNE before, isn't she a force? This is also, in my experience of the time we've had together, one of the best performance videos I've seen. Loose story that's equally great, but I'll explain more in a minute. What a beautiful song. Doesn't it make you just want to go and climb a mountain of life? Maybe not a physical mountain, yeah, if you want to. But you can look adversity in the face. Just every line with this is piercing. And again, it's one of those songs that allows for generalized application. If you see yourself in it, and I'm sure this is going to be such a common song that speaks to so many people in different ways. Not all of us have gone through a drastic life-altering surgery, or having experienced the risk of that happening, where there might have been a miraculous turn of events, for, again, whatever reason. We might know of stories that fit similar paths, yes, and I can think of a couple examples personally, but we can all relate to that sense of overcoming the challenges of life. Right, and again, whatever field that happens to be. And we still look at the lyrics as they're stated, right? We don't change them, we don't alter in any way, we just lightly transform the perception in a way that best meets our life stories. In whatever respect you look at, this song, it hits perfectly on the resonance of catharsis and healing, self-empowerment, what I love about metal. And what brought me in, even though people in my life, I'll tell you, I've shared the story before, I've always been a bit of a... I run with this because it's true. I've always been a bit of an anomaly in life in my social circles and around my peers because I just I'm not your stereotypical guy, I guess, in social company. I appreciate different things. But metal, I did as a teenager and people did not understand it. My social company was filled with, the sideways glances of, why do you like that? You should like something different. And nobody understood. No one ever asked. True, I didn't even understand the full reasons myself. I do now, that metal music, and let's be inclusive again, metal and rock, because it fits both genres. And there is a natural intersection, as I've said, between both styles. There's such an enviable hospitality of authenticity that comes through in the appreciation and unapologetic attitude of many artists and audience members in terms of desiring raw encounters of resonance, right? To understand, as we all do, we're social beings. We get to experience connection where life might not necessarily award that in ways that are serviceable or palatable to the histories we have. I'm speaking, I know, a bit coyly, but lightly of my experiences, that metal music was there for me with so many artists, considered in that. A number like A Symphonic Tragedy is an anthem, I think, to us all. It's beautiful. And again, as I said, we might not all be going through, facing the risks of losing our best friend for surgery. I can only imagine in DIANNE's case how frightening that conclusion would be. I mean, think of all the achievements that you've had in your career. And they speak for themselves. It's an honor to meet her through her stories. This song really gets me, as I'm sure it does to all of us. And instrumentally, the build's perfect, by the way. Beginning on a ballad tone, it's so soft and hospitable as we enter. It's very slow, gradual in terms of the increasing over time. Again, the power ballad designation is very true. But again, we also, and this is a great, example for if you're new to symphonic metal, it's a subgenre of expression that allows variation. And we see this among the vast pool of artists, certainly that we've humored together, the ones that exist today, and many of the ones I'm still getting to. Symphonic metal, as I've said before, is a go-to genre for me. I love anything that has an orchestral drive to it, and certainly operatic tones. And DIANNE, her voice, doesn't it just glamorize you? It's a real treat to humor the evolution of Soulward Bound. I think that's what I'm looking to say. And to hear these stories, like what a symphonic tragedy has to share. Well, I'll also say to respect to the visualizer first, before we get even into the narrative. I really like the color tint to this one, and it's not a surprise that the visualizer comes off in such glowing admiration, courtesy of Blackbriar being involved in the production. A never favorite group of mine, but they've been involved in the first two realizations of visualizers, and they did an impressive job there. This is one of the best performance videos I've seen, because it's a perfect testament, again, when you want to speak to sensing the passion and connection and authenticity in an artist. You really get that window of every second of DIANNE in the body movements, in the facial expressions. You can hear the devotion to every note, key. It's all manifested in every gesture. It pierces you. I mean, so many, and by the way, this whole music video is like, there are too many thumbnails to choose. I don't know what I'm going to pick, but there's so many beautiful photos I could capture. But again, clearly and beautifully demonstrate the essence. It's such a beautiful piece. Again, the color tones, though. I'll also lightly comment, I have never seen anyone, and I certainly can't do this, I've never seen anybody bring beige to life like DIANNE. And I think it maybe helps with the contrast, again, of the darker brown shading behind with the brick wall, or the columns as well, and plus her black hair. It's a natural color contrast, but it really brings like the white, I don't know, women's fashion. It's the beige tan dress, and is that a shawl or something? Forgive me. I find that the color match is quite boastful on screen, and it really pops as a visual. I know it's just a small remark, but I really like what was chosen for the video. It presents a quite, in my opinion, bedazzling symphonic metal encounter. But the story, again, in every note, every gesture on the vocals, and the isolations, by the way, on the final chorus, I believe, or maybe it was in the preceding section above. I forget where it was, but it was sort of after, again, that bridge instrumental. But the clarity, again, in the vocals, and you speak about the heart of the artist, you really, and the intentionality of the performance, you really hear it there. Again, the operatic notes, and her climbs on the chorus, without you, our end is nigh, the drama of that conclusion, the sense of abandonment of losing your best friend and your closest, your lifesaver in a way. It's such a beautiful empowerment song, and beautifully married again to the symphonic tones of what symphonic metal, at least in DIANNE's, well, not just in symphonic metal generally, but DIANNE's expression, it beautifully captures. Again, there's such a good embrace quality with her music that I just can't shake. And every entry thus far of Soulward Bound I've become, again, quite addicted to on many replays. This piece will be no different. Musically, it's beautifully orchestrated in the build, the gradual increase, the swelling on certain instruments, especially with the increase on the first chorus. I noted that. I love the effect. It really, again, you want the heart of the song to be embodied in every agent. Vocals, lyrics, music. I get all three here. And fourth, visualizer. It's a perfect harmony of every element working together in perfect synchronicity. I imagine the pull that this is going to have, and again, the empowerment direction that is so evident with this piece and is so reverential. I think others will sense that immediately. Maybe you yourself see that. I'd love to hear down below what your thoughts are on a symphonic tragedy. A tragedy, certainly, that seemed to birth a miracle. I think it's such a great encounter. But of course, music is first and foremost a subjective art, so I'll let you exercise your opinion down below on what you feel about this piece. And if you wish to declare your point of vantage, I'd love to hear about it, whether you're a longtime fan of myself and or maybe evolving in your understanding like me of DIANNE, or in respect to her entire library, or if you are a first initiate listener and you are just welcoming the graces of her solo project and this new chapter in her career. What do you think? One of the best encounters that I've had in terms of symphonic metal artists to date. I appreciate every minute, not even just every minute, every second of DIANNE's scores. And it's best to enjoy it with you. And again, to the credit of any artist I recognize here, open door policy. So for DIANNE, of course, no different. And I cannot wait for our next entry on Soulward Bound. It might take some time, but some of the best art does. And Symphonic Tragedy perfectly exemplifies why I have so much respect and reverence for her as not only a symphonic metal artist, a very talented one, but a human being. That sense of connection and authenticity. Unapologetically vibrant in her work. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.